Hey everybody, how's it going? Today I'm going to show you the first warrior build here on level 10, our Heroes of the Storm tutorial show on Khaldor TV. We're going to have a closer look at Muradin. If you played Warcraft 3 or World of Warcraft, you should feel right at home with the Mountain King. Muradin is extremely tanky and he has a lot of stuns available, so crowd control is definitely his specialty. He's one of those guys that you want to have at the front line tanking the damage for you, and if you feel at home with tanks and with melee warriors, you should definitely have a closer look at him. His first talent is Stormbolt, probably one of the most important talents on Muradin, where he throws a hammer at the opponent, does damage and also stuns with it. A very great talent, especially of course when you're trying to chase down an opponent, if you want to cancel the channeling ultimate of an opponent like ETC or like Nazebo, and you should always make sure that in those fights you throw as many Stormbolts as you can. His second talent is Thunderclap, where he claps the ground and in an area around him he does damage and also slows opponents down by 25%. It's an incredible useful talent when we're looking at big team fights, when you can just jump into the opponent or run in, go for the Thunderclap, use of course a few of your Stormbolts for the stuns and make sure that your team has a much better opportunity to position itself or to even get away after a failed fight. What makes Muradin also extremely useful for beginners is Dwarf Toss. It's an escape talent that he has, and he's one of the few melee warriors that really has a very good escape talent. With Dwarf Toss you can basically just jump over any kind of objective. It of course allows you to initiate as well. You can simply jump into a fight and then start with your Thunderclap and with your Stormbolt, but it also allows you to leap over objectives. So if you're running away from an opponent because you're very close to dying, you can just simply jump over an objective and get away with it. Dwarf Toss is extremely useful and it's probably one of the best tools that you have in your arsenal. His passive ability, Second Wind, is another thing that makes him so unbelievably tanky. First of all, if you stay out of the fight for 4 seconds, then suddenly Muradin gets a lot more health regeneration. So just after a few seconds you will see that your hit point pool is constantly rising and that you will be able to jump back into the fight. If you drop under a certain threshold, then it also allows you to even regenerate faster. So even if you're close to dying, after just a few seconds outside of the fight, you can turn around, go back in and start doing damage again. Maybe throw a Stormbolt to finish off an opponent or simply use your Thunderclap and then jump away with Dwarf Toss once again. So a very, very useful passive to have, and one that allows you to play Muradin with basically only having to go back to the well to get some mana. When we're looking at the talent build for Muradin, one thing that you will immediately identify is that it's all about the hammer with this guy. It's hammer time. And Muradin's hammer is probably slightly bigger than mine, but I guess that you get the idea. So for level 1, level 4 and level 7 we are going to choose each and every Stormbolt talent that we can take for him, because Stormbolt is going to be the tool that we focus our main attention upon. This means that we're going for Perfect Storm on level 1, for Sledgehammer on level 4, and then on level 7 for Piercing Bolt. And those talents have great synergy. The level 1 talent allows you to constantly farm additional damage. If you use your Q, your Stormbolt, to hit a target and you successfully hit it, you get an additional 5 damage constantly on Stormbolt. That is absolutely amazing and has great synergy with the level 7 talent with Piercing Bolt, where you can hit 2 targets if they're clustered up. So basically, especially against an opponent like the Lost Viking, you just have to hit your Stormbolt once and you already have 10 additional damage for the rest of the game. That allows you to get an unbelievable amount of damage the longer the game goes. And those 2 talents work just so damn well with your level 4 talent when we're talking about Sledgehammer. Suddenly you do 400 extra % damage with your Stormbolt against minions, against structures and also against mercenaries. An absolutely amazing talent to have, because if you start to just gather up some additional damage on Stormbolt, that of course works very well with the level 4 talent, with Sledgehammer, and instantly you are able to drop siege giants, for example. You can easily just solo capture mercenary camps, and you have so much damage against structures, especially later on in the game, that you can drop a tower with only 2 Stormbolts. So an absolutely amazing synergy between the first 3 talents that we are picking here, and it's the go-to build for Muradin these days. When we're talking about level 10, then we have of course once again 2 choices for our heroic ability. We have Avatar and Haymaker. And when you're looking at Avatar, it's the talent that you will take in 95% of the cases. It's an absolutely amazing talent since it gives you additional hit points, and what it also does is it creates mini stuns with your auto attack. So what you really want to do in those team fights is you initiate with a Stormbolt or you jump in with a Dwarf Toss, you activate your Avatar and then just wreak havoc in the opponent's backline. Haymaker, on the other hand, is more of a playmaker ultimate that you don't get to use all that often, since normally your team will rely on your tankiness, and that's where Avatar really comes into play. But every now and then it's can be kind of fun to play with Haymaker. What you do is you do a lot of targets or targeted damage to one single target, and you just like push it around through the map. And there's nothing more fun than just like jumping behind an enemy who is completely unaware of what you're going to do with your Dwarf Toss, suddenly using Haymaker to push him directly into the rest of your team who can then deal with him. It's a pretty fun talent to take, so if you're playing a couple of quick matches, you might want to try it one or twice, but I can already tell you that the one talent that you should take when it gets serious is Avatar. Before the last patch, level 13 was an easy choice for Muradin. Rewind was the go-to talent, but by now Blizzard changed Rewind. It's now a level 20 skill instead of a level 13 skill. So we're having a few other options on level 13 that we are going to talk about today. Probably the one talent that most people tend to take these days is Thunderstrike, which does additional 300% damage on your Thunderclap if you only hit one target. Meaning if you fight over a shrine on Dragonshire, this is a perfect talent if you want to do the extra damage. You have also a healing static that you can use if you are trying to just get some health back. Basically every single target that you hit with Thunderstrike gives you just a tiny amount of health, and it's great when you're, for example, fighting against Nazebo. He catches you in the wall of zombies and you then just like hit that skill once and suddenly you have 10% of your hit points back. So that can be quite helpful. Spell Shield is also available to you in level 13, and that's another talent that you should have a closer look at when we're talking about survivability. So if you have problems in the game to stay alive, Spell Shield might be for you. In general, the go-to talent these days seems to be Thunderstrike though. So the extra damage against isolated targets is extremely useful for Muradin, and if there's no problem with your survivability in the game itself, then you should always go for it. The level 16 talent is Stoneform, and this is such an amazing talent to keep you alive. After level 16, you are going to be a nightmare to your opponent. They will have such a difficult time to drop you. Stoneform gives you 50% over your hit points back over the next 8 seconds, so it's in general a massive healing potion that you can use. You can just simply use that whenever you want to, when you feel that you start to drop or you're at half health, and you start to take that, and you will see that for your opponent it is nearly impossible to take you down, especially of course when you also have all these other abilities like using the second wind afterwards. If you have a healer behind you that can heal you as well, Stoneform is absolutely amazing and you're gonna love it. It's these level 16 talent that you should always take, and you will have a lot of fun with it. There are a lot of good choices on level 20 on what you could use as your ultimate talent. There is Unstoppable Falls, which is a nice upgrade for your avatar. We're also having the new 20 talent Hardened Shield, which makes you for 4 seconds nearly invulnerable. But usually with Muradin you really want to have Rewind. It was a great talent on level 13, and it is still an amazing talent on level 20. If you are able to hit a double Stormbolt in those fights, not only can you of course farm the extra damage on your Stormbolt even more, but you can simply stunlock a target on your own. You have also a double Dwarf Toss, which allows you to bunny hop away from your opponent, and you will always be able to escape. You can even initiate into a fight, just drop a Stormbolt and a Thunderstrike, and then immediately jump out again. You have so many options with this talent. So level 20, this is where you go for Stormbolt, and this, I can tell you, is where it gets really fun. So with this build that I just showed you, Muradin is becoming a real survival monster. He's that tank at the front line that wants to go up against the opponent, does a lot of work, especially of course with his stuns. He's lacking in damage a bit, but it makes up for it with his tankiness. But of course we're having a couple of talents that you can also change if you want to, or if the situation demands it, and we're going to have a closer look at those right now. When you're up against a team that has a lot of heroes that depend heavily on their right click, like Illidan, Vala, or maybe even somebody like Tychus and Reyna, then one of the things that you might want to think about is to go for Reverberation on the level 1 talent, because that slows down the attack speed of opponents. So what you could do is just like in a team fight, start to use your Thunderclap to slow down their attack speed and simply move with that. It is taking a lot of damage away from the opponent, but it's a very situational talent that depends a lot on the composition of heroes that your opponent is using. On level 4, if you're going for this Thunderclap build, what you should always think about is, instead of going for the Stormbolt talent, maybe invest rather into the crowd control talent for your Thunderclap, because this talent is reducing the cooldown of your Thunderclap significantly, and you can do a lot of damage with this. It of course also synergizes quite well with the level 13 talent that you might take. We talked about this earlier, but you should have these two always in mind when you look at the opponent's team composition. The level 7 talent doesn't really change though. Hitting 2 heroes with a Stormbolt is just too damn good. This is such a great talent to have that even with a Thunderclap build, we are not gonna miss out on that. We're going still for Piercing Bolt on level 7 so that you can do a maximum amount of crowd control in those team fights themselves. I hope that today's tutorial was a help to you guys, that you can play Muradin now maybe a bit more effectively than before, and that you get the one or the other idea of how to play him and what you can change with him if you had trouble in the past. If you liked the video and if you learned something today, then always make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Khaldor TV if you haven't done that just yet. Of course, if there are any questions, just post a comment into the comment section. I'm going to see you next time, guys, with another hero guide here on Heroes of the Storm on Khaldor TV.